we see.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to part 2 of this discussion of social injustice. Welcome back to Fired Up. I am your host, East Rashid, and Barrick is here. He's the second host. All right,
up,
and then we also got Kenneth Murray back with us, and
welcome to you.
Yes. I'm sorry, Kenneth, I ran over you there, man. All right, so we're going to talk about this COVID-19 scenario right here, and when it pertains to sports, I guess just in general, the economy, everything over here, because Dr. Fauci saying that there's a second wave, and will there be an NFL season? There could be potential lawsuits if the NFL actually has a season, and people, the staff, and everybody gets sick. We could actually see the NFL actually get shut down, and there may not be a NFL season or basketball season. So let's get right into this. Barrick, man.
Let me jump in on that real quick, Kenneth. I'll definitely set this up so you can jump right on after me. In regards to the COVID-19, and obviously Dr. Fauci has made himself very clear that he does not believe, based on the social distancing, the concept of the game itself, the practice facilities, all of that, he doesn't believe that we'll have an opportunity to see football this year. He's made himself very clear. He made the statement clear that we don't believe there will be an NFL season. I don't think he spoke much about basketball or baseball, but he definitely spoke about football in general. Now, let me say this really quickly and try to be as clear as I possibly can. The NFL has sat back and said for 5 months they've been sitting back there trying to figure out what is the best safety protocol. Yet there are a few players and a few coaches who have already, quote unquote, acquired the COVID-19 virus. Now they're saying that their symptoms is not as bad. They're walking around, they're feeling pretty good. And then the NFL spokesperson came out and said, well, you know what? We're still going to be ready for opening day, regardless of what Dr. Fauci has said, because they have other plans in place which they have not been clear about. They'll wait when it gets close to the season starting. The reason why I'm saying all this is that the NFL right now is the only sport, not Major League Soccer, not hockey. They're probably the only sport right now they have the opportunity to start on time and finish on time. You can't say the same thing about basketball and baseball. And I say that because I think Fauci is going after the NFL, because the NFL has not shown signs that they're agreeing with Dr. Fauci. They made it clear that we're not looking into what you're saying. We're acknowledging what you're saying, but we're not looking into what you're saying. So we're planning on starting the season on time. And they've had many opportunities to sit back and say, we're not going to do that. But as you mentioned before, the NFL is definitely about their bottom line. That is a multi-billion-dollar business that's had the power to maneuver and do anything they want. Now, I'll make that point by saying, when we had the Katrina, what happened, Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, in the New Orleans Superdome, I mentioned this to Rashid a while ago, that there was a different situation going on there. When they finally got that stadium back up and running, there was already a scheduled convention. I think it was called the Boat Show. The NFL walked in there and said, well, you guys are going to have to clean this up because we plan on putting a football game here. The New Orleans Saints will be playing their game in here. They had a problem with that, and they went to the President of the United States, who at the time happened to be, I think, President Obama. When they did that, President Obama said, well, listen, we'll make sure we maneuver your convention to another location. This is the NFL.
Hurricane Katrina was 2005, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so.
That was Bush in office then.
That was Bush. Okay, so I stand corrected. My apologies. But needless to say, the order was given for the NFL to have their game there, and of course the convention moved on. This is a powerful business. And they said they can listen to Fauci, and they have, but by respect. But they plan on moving on and playing the game of football. And they have 3 different plans in place, one of which they already put out there in public. The other 2 they have not yet. I believe at the end of the day, it is about their bottom dollar. What say you, Kenneth?
Well, here's the situation. They are predicting a second wave. There is no way in the world that people can legitimately say, let's go to a football game, let's go to movies, let's go here, let's go there, with this second wave about to come. So the bottom line is that we need to wait. It's going to cost us some money, but we need to wait and see what this disease is going to do. Because let's be clear, the coronavirus is in charge.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
coronavirus is in charge. And if that is the case, at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to die because of a capitalistic view. It is wrong, and we need to put life.
All right, so Kenneth, let me ask you this, man. The flu actually kills. And, you know, every time I bring this stuff up, nobody wants to hear it because the media is not hyping this stuff up. The flu actually kills 80,000 people a year. Did we shut? You know, and arguably COVID-19 killed 100,000 people, or maybe 120,000 people. And we're gonna get into those. Are those numbers real or not? But the flu actually kills 80,000 people every single year, between 50 and 80,000 people. We have drug-resistant TB in this country that kills 50,000 people per year. Nobody cares. So why should we care about COVID? And when on record, it's a 2.3% kill rate, literally. It's not Ebola.
Because COVID-19 has done what the police couldn't do. It genocide our whole community. Do you understand that?
I don't think it was the COVID-19. You and I talked about this. The
government of the United States just gave Morehouse insane money to deal with this virus in our community. This virus is a genocidal threat to the non-white people in America, okay? In America, it's genocide. There have been flus, came and went, and didn't decimate our people, okay?
But it does. It kills a lot of people every single year.
I'm talking about non-white people, okay? The studies show point blank that non-white people were the ones decimated by this virus, by this disease. So this is genocide in America. No one wants to call it that, but that is what it is. In the nursing homes, they let people die. In the hospitals, they let people die. This is outright murder, but nobody wants to call it that. This is what it is. I have individuals in my life to this disease. So I'm telling you point blank, regardless of what the government says, from the point of view of the revolutionaries, this is a genocide upon non-white people in America. It is murder.
Barrick, your take on that? That was. I don't want to say extreme, but it was blunt.
No, and listen, Kenneth is basically putting out the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, we're talking about numbers. We're not too sure about these numbers. But Kenneth, all I'm going to say is, and I'm not going to say much because I think Kenneth really put everything, put pedal to the metal on this one. But, you know, when they put up the statistics about, and they had to do this, they did it eventually when this whole thing first started out. They said, okay, well, African Americans have fell a little bit more to the COVID-19, and then there was Hispanics, and then it went down and down to Asians and so forth and so on. So the percentages was high in the African American community due to the deaths of COVID-19. These are the numbers they put up there. It was on the news. Do I believe those numbers? No, I don't. I don't believe those numbers. But I do believe that, yes, in most regards, the majority of the people that have fell to this unfortunate situation have been people of color. Okay? That to me, that's the truth. That's the unfortunate part.
But the thing is, you know, we got to look at the reasons for that, and we talked about this earlier in our prep of the foods and in these minority communities. The potato chips. I mean, all this stuff. You can't even read the ingredients on the label. It's these long words there, and I think over a course of time, they can actually, you know, cause heart problems and diabetes and asthma and things like that.
Who allows those type of foods to come into our community? Who allows
the corporations, man? You got to look at the corporations who actually manufacture this stuff. I mean, they pump this stuff into the white.
Who runs those corporations? Black people don't run those corporations. Okay?
That's right. We talked about how our neighborhoods are set up in regards to health foods and things like. We don't have much in the average neighborhoods, the average African American, the average neighborhoods that have African American and Latino people there. We don't have those the right stores, the right food markets. We have to travel. We have to move in different neighborhoods, and not everybody has the finances for that. Okay. We talked about this. We don't have all the finances. A lot of us don't even have the jobs right now. What are we to do? Look at the unemployment rate right now. Now I'm gonna put a color to that.
I mean, well, we're talking about before this actually hit, though. I mean, now, definitely I do agree with you. But before this actually hit, though, you had, I mean, like you said, a lot of people can't really travel. Well, I agree. There's a lot of poor people in New York City, in Baltimore, in Detroit, in Oakland.
Well, there's a lot of educated people without work too.
Much more affluent neighborhoods to actually get good organic food, and that's the problem right there. Yes.
Do you not? Hold on. Do you not think that? I mean, you do know that there are affluent black people. You do know that, right?
I didn't say race. I said affluent neighborhoods.
Listen to me. The very context of your statement leads people to believe that black people are not affluent. And
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I did not say that.
The very concept of what you're saying puts a separation between affluent and the word ghetto or poor. All right, they're poor white people too.
There's poor white people too. Yeah. I said affluent neighborhoods like we live in New York City here.
Stop, because black people live in affluent neighborhoods too. Remember that.
I know. But Kenneth, I never targeted a race. I didn't say white neighborhoods. I said affluent neighborhoods.
When you use the term affluent, you mean white.
No, I do not. How you going to tell me what I'm thinking? No, I do not.
Because you began the process of talking about low communities and then affluent. That right there is a separation.
All right, Kenneth. There's not trailer park trash white people, man. Trailer park. There's poor white people. I said affluent neighborhoods. There's black people.
I use the term urban neighborhoods. I don't know why we're going that route. We know what type of neighborhoods we're speaking of. Okay. We're speaking of the neighborhoods that mostly are predominated by Latin people and people of color. That's what I'm saying. Most of these people in their neighborhoods don't have the finances.
Those NBA, NFL players, they don't live in the South Bronx. There's successful black people in this country, Kenneth. There's successful black people in this country here.
I'm glad you
don't seem like it does, but it is though.
I'm glad you can recognize that.
No, I do. I said that in our prep earlier. There's a lot of successful black people in this country here. I'm not saying it's everybody just white, and but there's a lot of affluent black neighborhoods or there's affluent areas. Period. It could be black. It could be like maybe 10 black people in it who are successful, or doctors, lawyers, NBA ball players, anything. Business owners and stuff like that, people that actually trade stocks. There's black people that trade stocks too on the Forex market.
Notice what you said. You said black people that trade stocks too. Why?
No. I'm just giving examples of people who actually make money. Industries or jobs that actually make money to where they can live in an affluent neighborhood, like Scarsdale.
When you say the word affluent, do me a favor. Instead of saying the word affluent, just say rich.
Mm-hmm. All right, that works.
Because
okay.
The term affluent always deals with the whole point of race.
All right.
Yeah, we're talking about people who have money. Yes, we have people who make money, good money.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I mean. I mean, if it's taken out of context, then I don't know.
No, I mean, we can't. We're so fixated on numbers, and we don't have the actual numbers. We know we have educated people of color coming out of these prominent colleges. Come on, we got people who leaving high school right now, top of their class, probably going to wind up graduating out of Harvard or Columbia within a matter of their junior year because they're highly educated, very smart. People of color.
I'm from New York City, everybody else, and there are people who came out of the NYCHA projects and have excelled from the NYCHA projects. let's just balance the conversation. That's all I'm saying. Balance the conversation. That's
Right.
all.
I mean,
we derailed off the COVID situation. I forgot what the hell we were even talking
Well,
about.
no, we're on it. We're still on it because we were talking about how COVID-19 has started everything. And we're talking about the numbers, and I started off by saying the majority of the numbers allegedly are been in the direction of people of color and, of course, the Latin community. And then it went on down to the Asians and so forth and so on.
Okay, all right. So we know. Listen, all right. One thing we know that the testing kits, they give false positives. They're positives. They're looking for genetic material of a coronavirus, which is a cold virus. This COVID-19 is a cold virus. Yeah. It's nothing. There's nothing different about it. And so most people are going to come up positive for coronavirus. And they try to mark that in as COVID-19. So we know that the test kits are faulty. That's admitted already by even Dr. Fauci himself 3 months ago that the tests aren't accurate. Why he's changing course now is beyond me.
Well, who knows why he's changing course? I'm not going to sit there and say his bosses are telling him to do that. But the bottom line is, if he's gotten information in the beginning and now he's gotten new information now, and he's admitting the fact that he was incorrect, I applaud him for that.
Well, it's the same testing kit that they were using that Fauci said that was inaccurate. The testing kits didn't change. They're still using the same testing kits. All right, so
why is this okay? Then, if that is the reality, why is he changing his mind? Why is he changing his statement?
Well, who knows, man? It's hard to read these people's minds, and maybe there's a bigger picture in terms of a vaccine. From what I'm hearing, this is going to go on until there's a coronavirus vaccine.
We know there's a vaccine right now, brother. We know there's a vaccine right now. Okay, I don't want to sit there and say, well, we're still working on it. You've been working on it since 2019. That's what COVID-19 is. Okay, it started in 2019.
COVID stands for Certificate of Vaccination Identification. Yeah, that's COVID.
That was not the abbreviate. That's not the acronym that I. You know what? I don't have the actual acronym now, but that wasn't it. All right, COVID was basically broke down. It was something virus 19. Okay. The bottom line is, I don't really care anyway. The bottom line is this: if it's been since 2019, all right, and here we are in 2020, and now all of a sudden he's changing. Dr. Fauci is changing what he thinks he knew then versus what he knows now, and he's stretching himself out. As we spoke before, he's stretching himself out to now involve himself in sports by saying, in particularly the NFL, probably won't have their time in the sun. Kenneth alluded to something earlier about, let's worry about the bottom line right now and saving lives. I agree with that 100%. Because right now, sports is not the most important thing. Neither is open up a movie theater or a gym or anything of that nature. Let's just try to find out how we can nip this in the bud. But
all right, is it worth actually imploding our economy over? Because this definitely killed our economy. It's really going to take about 2 or 3 years. I mean, we got like.
Well, look what's happening in Florida. Look what's happening in Florida, Texas, the state of Washington, Utah.
The testing kit. They're testing people. They're testing more people than any other country in the world right now, and they're using the same testing kits that just test for genetic material of a coronavirus, which is a cold virus, which mostly everybody had a cold, everybody had a flu. In the past 10-something years, I never had a flu. It was 20 years ago I had the flu, but a cold, maybe a sinus infection, which is sort of a coronavirus.
Yeah, I know. Go get your flu shot. Go get your flu shot, right? Okay, go get your flu shot. What are we talking about? All right, we already know how this is playing itself out.
The testing kit that they're actually using is faulty. They're not tested for COVID-19. They're tested for a genetic material of a coronavirus.
Let me ask you a question. Anytime they do these testing, whether it's negative or positive, it's not DNA in there?
No, that's what I said. Genetic material.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I want the word DNA in there because the bottom line is this. If you keep testing these people, you build a database of all these non-white people that they're testing. And then all of a sudden you commit a crime and they already have your DNA that's there. Okay? The situation is that, is it necessary to just do these tests and voluntarily give up our DNA? Because it can be.
I mean, don't do the test, because the test. I mean, the president of Tanzania, their scientists actually tested a piece of fruit. I believe it's a kiwi or orange, and it came up positive for COVID-19. So that the testing kits are false, and we know, and even like with there was a thing about a couple of months ago, we had to shut our subways down, and I heard this from scientists that I follow, that we have to shut our subways down because the subways are spreading it, and the homeless are spreading it. I said, well, why aren't the homeless dropping dead? We know coronaviruses affect people that are deficient, has a deficiency in essential vitamins and minerals in a sense, though. So you don't have any vitamin D3, you don't have any vitamin C, you don't have zinc. And this is what people actually die of in starvation, like people in Africa and these third world countries in India. They, a cold and the flu really wipes them out because they're actually deficient in essential vitamins. So those homeless people, they aren't getting zinc, they aren't getting vitamin C and stuff like that. They're not getting this stuff. Why are they not dropping dead in droves?
Listen, right now, we can't answer that question.
I'm outside doing this whole thing. There's a lot of senior citizens walking out here with masks, without masks. And really, the masks don't even really help you. The CDC actually admitted that. They don't really help. And they're not dying or anything like that.
Listen, we already know the main reason behind most people catching is the underlying medical issues. They may have a weak heart. There might be other issues that might basically exist in one individual. So I just don't get. Now I understand the homeless concept, but they eat too. Okay, the homeless eat too. They drink too. We don't know where they're eating from or drinking from. The alleged concept is they're eating from garbage cans. No, they got places to go. They got places to go to eat.
Oh yeah,
a lot of emissions out there. Okay, so we can't. Well, I'm saying that because we can't use the homeless entirely as the example.
No, people were. I mean, I'm not going to go into certain names and stuff like that all three of us knows personally, but they were using the homeless as the main progenitors of spreading the COVID-19, the coronavirus. So if we had people in hospitals die of COVID-19, why aren't the homeless dying?
We can't answer that question.
And from a nutritional perspective, the people that actually, they weren't homeless. They actually have access to better nutrition than homeless people do. So why they not dropping dead? Now, you guys don't have to answer it. It's just something for the audience, just to make the audience really think.
The state of New York is trying. The state of New York, okay, or even the city of New York, both are trying to find ways to help the homeless. All right, we have an overlapping homeless population right now. All right, they're on the subways, we know. Some of them come to the buses, we know this. But most of them do have places to go. Even the ones that get on the bus or get on the train, they have places to go at some point in time. They find ways to eat. We just don't know why they're not falling down.
That food is not good quality food, dude. You know that.
Well, how do you know what they're eating? They're eating bread. They're eating a piece of vegetable. They're eating a piece of fruit.
Well, the Dust Bowl in the 30s had wiped out 7 feet of topsoil. So the food, I mean, like let's say to get the calcium out of broccoli, you got to eat like 5 times the broccoli just to get the
but you're telling me you have a pretty good fix on what they're eating. They're giving them the basic food group, guys.
Why do you think? Well, supplements are huge in this country because the fruits and vegetables, because of the Dust Bowl, because of greedy farmers back in the 30s, it's not as nutritious. It's devoid of a lot of nutrients. So you have to take supplements in this country, in Europe, and a lot of these other countries.
Okay, that's fine.
Apple, orange, and a strawberry tastes much different than it does here.
Let's not even go into a strawberry. Have you ever looked into a strawberry yet? Before you bite into a strawberry? You'd be surprised what comes out of a strawberry before you bite into it. Okay? You start seeing worms come out of there. Yeah. All right? If that's your point, Because because the
No,
bottom
I'm
line
just
is,
talking about the nutrition. The nutrition. You had the Great Dust Bowl, and because the farmers were so greedy, it wiped out 7 feet of topsoil permanently. That soil is where all your nutrition is, and that's permanently gone. So that's why you need supplements in this country, in a sense, though, because
I
you have to
understand
eat not like 5 times the kale just to get the calcium out of it. Europeans don't pretty much have to do that in a sense, though, because they didn't have a dust bowl. They have good soil there. We don't have good soil.
Okay, but then look what we're talking about right now. So we're still using the homeless as some sort of a point why they're not catching it. You see, we still haven't been able to answer that question. So if you're
Why
going
they
to go
not dying? We have healthy people in hospitals dying. That there's nothing wrong with them, but the homeless, they're just out there. I mean, they're outside a lot. I mean,
they are out there a lot. But I mean, again, I'm not going to put too much on it. The bottom line is there's other reasons what's going on with the homeless, and there's things I don't know. There's things you probably don't know what's going on with the homeless. We see them out there for the most part, okay? But whatever the reason is, we're looking at the numbers, which we know is bloviated. We don't know what's going on. I mean, and Dr. Fauci is behind this.
Well, no, the thing with the homeless is that, a lot of them are on drugs, we know that. And I'm not saying every single one of them are, but a good percentage are. And addictions are nutritional deficiencies. Yeah,
okay, but we don't know how many people are. Listen, a lot of them that are on drugs, we know they're out there. They're out there still sitting on the corner right now, looking for money. Got a cup in their hand. What about the homeless people? We're talking about the ones that are just finding a place to sleep. They got some of their garments with them, their personal belongings, and they have to now find another place to go. And those are the ones that find those places to go to get something to eat, and hopefully they'll be able to get into one of those shelters to get a bed. Some of them do that.
Some of them don't do that. But Kenneth, your take on this, man.
Because you can't get a bed.
Be quiet here, Kenneth. Your take on
Kenneth is basically sitting around trying to listen to all this stuff, but I mean, they can't get a bed. Some of them can't get a bed. Some of them out there trying to struggle. It's rough out there for them. We don't know what's going on with them, man. It's unfortunate to sit there and say, yeah, some of them are on drugs, some of them doing this. We don't know what's going on with them. And I'm just saying they're using them as a point of saying, hey, why are they not catching it? It's a reason for that.
What I'm saying, I'm not looking for answers. I'm just saying that.
But there are answers out there.
The question is just to actually make you think, in a sense, though, because I have a lot of seniors in my, where I live at, and I mean, they're still alive and fine. And they didn't go to the hospitals, and we know from doctors, prominent doctors that came out, the ventilators are actually blowing these people's lungs out. You have a 70 to 80% chance, of dying being put on a ventilator versus not being put on a ventilator. Yeah, Kenneth, your take on that?
Well, let me put it this way: when it comes to COVID-19, we need to be educated on this. Okay, we need to read books, pamphlets, all that we get our hands on to protect ourselves. And let me speak to our people. Reading is not a bad thing. Reading is good, okay? Education is important. The more you know, the more you grow, okay? So let me just let people know point blank, especially our people in our community. Malcolm X was educated. Many of the Black Panthers were educated. If you look globally, it is the educated that makes the decisions for the uneducated. It is the conscious that makes the decisions for the unconscious. So we need to be educated in all aspects. Now, this COVID-19 hit our community very, very hard and quick, okay? So we need to re-educate ourselves on this. Yes, the Dr. Fauci and the rest of those other things, and let me be very, very clear. How come all of the experts are white? I'll just leave that alone. The bottom line is that we need to educate ourselves on this disease and all of them, because the European dictionary has great words in it, and it allows us the ability to think and understand. And our understanding must be clear. This disease is here, but another one is coming. And we have to be able to just put the video games down, cut the television off, put down the rap music, and begin the qualifications of reading and studying. We should not be caught unaware of what's coming down the line. We have to educate ourselves. We have to. Because if we don't, a lot more people are going to die. I understand you have doctors and experts who are all white and they have no non-white experts. And I do not understand that. But at the end of the day, we have to listen, but we also have to do our own due diligence, because this is genocide. Point blank, it's genocide, it's murder, it's anything that you want to call that can wipe out a whole group of people in one single clip. So at the end of the day, we must re-educate ourselves on diseases. We have to be able to get to the point of doing for ourselves, and we have to change our eating habits. Let's be very, very clear. The reason why COVID took most of us out is because we had underlying secondhand diseases, okay? We either had the diabetes, we had this, that, and the other. So we have to begin the process of going to the gym. You know,
you have to remember too, Kenneth, you have people with panic attacks and they'll say, oh, that's COVID, put them on a ventilator, they can't breathe.
No, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. They won't do that.
No. Stop.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Kenneth.
It's not a panic attack, sir. When you get sick, that's not a panic attack. You're sick, okay?
But no, what? Go look up somebody with a panic.
Actually, it's not. The panic attack is not the right title. They use night terror. It's their logic. They call it night terrors.
Thank you.
Okay. So if that's true, then they're not using that as a crutch. All right, they're just bloviating these numbers, Rashid. They are. They you and I both. We all know they are. No actual numbers.
All right. So I talked to a lot of people about this, and the people that. Did you talk to a lot of people about this whole COVID thing? Yeah, that's what I do. I'll talk to random people at a grocery store.
Question: did you talk to white people or did you talk to non-white people? Because
both. Both.
Okay, what did the non-white people say, sir?
Well, no. I mean, they know people that actually died from this, and the correlation I get is that they were all put on ventilators. I said,
and see, that ventilator issue is a reason why the politicians of this state, New York, to be charged with murder. That is
we know which one we're talking about too.
Yes.
We know what we're talking about.
Yes. There's no way in the world you're going to tell me that a ventilator that you put them on should kill them. Okay? It's supposed to help, but it hurt. And a lot of people are not looking at this, and this is another discussion for another time, but at the end of the day, it comes down to personal liability. And a lot of people, they're putting their hands up and it wasn't me, and it wasn't me, and it wasn't me, and it wasn't me. It had to be somebody. These people can die on their own.
Plausible deniability, and that's what they're gonna. You can't charge the governors with murders for putting them people in those nursing homes.
Well, I'm not gonna say governor or mayor, but like I said, we know who needs to take full responsibility. And like you said, you're putting people who are affected into the nursing homes. What about that? What's going on with that? Why are you doing that?
They wanted to keep the hospitals clear, supposedly for COVID-19 people, because supposedly Fauci said this was going to kill, 5 million people. Yeah, it was going to kill 5 million people. We were going off for his numbers, so and it's really, I mean, we were getting a lot of this information from China in a sense, though. I remember when it first came out, the Chinese put out all the information because it started there. And their scientists actually put out a lot of the information that we had on COVID-19, how it has great gain of function, meaning that it's people can easily get it. It can survive in the air for a long time. And now you have scientists from all around, all over the world actually saying no, that's not true. It dies in heat. It dies within 5 seconds. Like sunlight hits it dies within 5 seconds. If there's no sunlight, 2 minutes. So this is Indian scientists, the scientists that we actually have here, and so that we've been lied to. Trump has been lied to in terms of the ventilators, because when they were mentioning ventilators, it didn't hit me until like maybe a month later. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. There's people that get stung by a bee and they have an autoimmune response and they don't need a ventilator. You give them some Benadryl to get rid of the inflammation in a sense, though. And what's that other shot that they get? I forgot the name of that.
Is it Infinite?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well,
So that's what this COVID is actually doing. It's giving people an autoimmune response where they have their lungs are inflamed, not shut down. It's one thing if this thing actually shut the lungs down, then yes, you do need the ventilator. But inflammation, you don't need a ventilator for inflamed lungs. You don't.
well, all being equal, hey, listen. At the end of the day, we have to still worry about that second wave.
It's
Okay.
coming.
The second wave is going to be from people that's been stuck in the house for 2 or 3 months, haven't been getting any sunlight, and their white blood cell count is going to be extremely low, and they're going to get sick.
Well, I'll tell you right now. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Always remember that this thing stops at the children. Okay? It stopped at the children. I believe the second wave will begin with the children because they're going to have this inflamed thing. It's going to go from the children to the teenagers to the yuppies, whatever you call them, and then it's going to stop again. I believe this is a point of depopulation. It's a point of depopulation globally.
Yeah, right. The second wave is going to be 3 times worse than this one, the original one at all. This one's going to be worse. It's a lot worse. You have the majority of people who are kids. We have a lot more kids in the world now. All right? Let's just look at it that way as well. So I agree with the fact it's going to start with the kids. There's a large population of children in this world. Sextuplets out there, quintuplets out there. I mean, it's a whole lot.
So they're projecting the second wave to hit within the fall. So that might actually shut football down in a sense, though.
I don't see that. Listen, right now, I personally do not see them stopping, especially if basketball and baseball is underway. You want to know why? Because boxing's already underway. Hold on a second. Boxing's already underway. How close are those guys? UFC is underway. How close are those guys? They're all over each other.
So what is it that Fauci has against the NFL?
I told you earlier. This is a multi-billion-dollar business. This is a particular business that has been untouched no matter what has happened. I mentioned the Hurricane Katrina situation. These points are very even, Stephen, because these are points I was making to establish the fact how powerful the NFL is. Does Fauci have a problem with that? Maybe he does. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I'm not going to put thoughts in his head, but does he have a problem with that? Probably. This league has an opportunity starting on time and ending on time. But you look at boxing, you look at UFC, right? They're underway. They don't have anybody in the seats, but they're underway, and they're a lot closer. So why wouldn't football have a chance?
The title for this part 2 is, will the NFL start on time? And the thumbnail is going to be Dr. Fauci with the needle in his hand.
Oh, man. Well, Dr. Fauci's got his own logics, man. I don't know about that dude, but hey, listen, you know, it's like E.F. Hutton. If that man speaks, everybody's listening. You know?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to warn you about, because a lot the governors are listening to him, and Fauci says something. The governors and the mayors and
but that's them. That's them. They're afraid to make a mistake, guys. They're afraid to make a mistake. So if they think Fauci is the one that holds the key to all what's going on, of course they're gonna listen to him. I don't see the sports guys listening to him because they're about their bottom dollar. So if that's the case, how come the mayor or the governor can't be about the state? We're gonna do the best thing we can for the state. We're not gonna listen to somebody.
I think like Kenneth actually alluded to, I think it's bigger than football. It could be what Kenneth is actually saying, a genocidal target here in a sense, though.
No, I agree with Kenneth. I agree with him. It is bigger than sports, not just football. Sports, it's bigger than that. But that's not what's happening. They're rushing to get this done because they're about their bottom dollar. That's what we've been talking about all day. I don't agree with them going back. Listen, I'm a big football lover. I'm a big basketball lover. Hell, I even watch baseball. But I don't agree with them going back to it if it's not the best thing for them to do. But they're about their money. And Fauci's at the NFL because the NFL is about a lot of money.
Kenneth, you want to elaborate on that?
Well, capitalism is a very dangerous thing to do when society is sick. because you put the bottom first over people's health. And this is the reason why, the way I do to my people, because I believe the importance of personal responsibility and self-determination is where we need to be as a people, okay? It is easy to blame others for the condition, but when it comes to this particular country, I blame liberalism. I believe liberalism is a mental disorder. I believe that anyone that follows liberalism, they need to get their head checked. This, if you take a look at most of the stuff that's going on in our community, you have a Democratic mayor or a Democratic governor, and the people are the worst of it. So liberalism, in my opinion, is a mental disorder, and it needs to be replaced with some intelligence. It needs to be replaced with some intelligence. This is not a time for non-white people to begin to say, oh, well, let's listen to what the experts say. Look, common sense says if the second wave is coming, you don't want to be at a football game. You don't want to be at the movie theater.
That's right.
You don't want that. You want to be able to see your kids. And if you do what the government, Ronald Reagan says, when the government says they're here to help, you need to start running. Okay?
That's right. That's
okay?
right. Absolutely.
So the bottom, and we need to think. We need to think critically. We need to think correctly. We just need to think. We need a paradigm shift, a revolutionary paradigm shift when it comes to the COVID-19.
As I always said, common sense goes a lot past book sense. We need a lot more of it. We need a lot more of it. Absolutely. So, but hey, listen, this is a great conversation. This is a great conversation.
We're gonna actually wrap this up, and man, I didn't even get a chance to do the outro because the damn battery on the Canon died, man. I'm like, it's crazy, man. An hour. I think we was at this from 10:30 to 12:08. So an hour.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Yeah, don't worry about that. We were conversating.
If you have to edit it to make 3 shows, then do so.
No, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It's more work. I think I should have everything ready for Craig by by tomorrow night or Friday morning.
Just make sure you minimize everything as much as you can. If you got to bring it to 3 or 4, okay? Because this program will be very much overwhelmed if you send this whole entire thing to him like this. All right?
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, but hey, listen, Kenneth. I mean, listen. I enjoyed you being on here, brother. That's my heart. We needed that extra influence on the show, man. So I appreciate that. And to the fans out,
Call me if you need me again. I'll come off the porch.
Yeah, well, I remember you said that.
We're going to be bringing you on because this COVID thing is not going to disappear. And we're going to be...
No, this is the new norm. This is the new norm. I mean, let's just face it. It's the new norm.
Yeah, It's not going to disappear.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're going to try to shut the NFL down at some point, man.
I disagree. I disagree. You know why I disagree? Because, again, I don't want to run like a runaway recorder here, but, it's amazing how this particular business is, the NFL himself. You guys really have to understand how powerful these guys are, okay? If they're about getting their money, they will do it. Now, this thing here with the COVID-19, I think for the first time, I will have to go on record and say they're not more powerful than this COVID-19 thing. Not at all. Not at all. But if they can find any and every way to get it done, they can find any and any way to get it done, they will do it. That's what I'm trying to make you understand. They find any and every way to do it, they will be playing. Okay? For 17 weeks, no less. Okay? That's the whole thing. Until 10 to 15 players, especially their main players, start getting sick, then we're talking about something different. We're talking about the season starting and continuing until someone at high level.
We all got to let people know out there. I mean, you too, Kenneth, Barrick. I mean, listen, they're testing for genetic material of a coronavirus.
Could you do that?
Anybody can come up.
Could you say the word DNA? It's simple.
That's
DNA.
Right.
People will understand better. DNA. That is the material that they're testing for. And like I said, if they get enough DNA, you get arrested, they already have you on file.
All right, so again, I'll use a more generic term instead of genetic material, instead of the scientific. All right, so DNA of a coronavirus,
All right.
But in scientific terms, it's called genetic material. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we know that. We just choose not to use that. You
All
know,
right.
you got listen. You got people listening. You want to make sure they know what they're listening to. You know, what the hell are you talking about? They got to break out a dictionary. All right.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So, all right. But listen, well, guys, this is the way we got to do it. I appreciate the show. We did a great job today. We got a lot of information out there. It was a great conversation. You know, so I
Yeah,
hope
definitely,
that.
man. Definitely.
So we
Sorry
tell
for
the
the
fans
late
to like.
start, man. Getting this stuff set up is crazy over here.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So we got to make sure everybody clicks the like button and leave their comments. Obviously, you know, subscribe. All right. We appreciate everybody's time. We appreciate Kenneth Murray being on the show. Thank you, Kenneth Murray. You're the man.
Yeah,
You had a lot of good things
absolutely,
on there.
man. Smash that like button. All right.
All right, guys.
All right.
Got you. Ready for the revolution.
That's right.
Bye bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.